Yeah. So.
What's up, WHYORU? My name is Trinity Caesar. What's up, WHYORU? It's your girl Trinity Caesar.
And it's your boy Joseph Thomas.
And thank you for tuning in once again for another season.
Yeah, so we're back here with season 4. We got fresh faces, new content, all for you here on WHYORU.
Yes, so if you are really interested in being a part of the show, do not be hesitant to come see us in person or drop some comments below or DM us on Instagram.
Yeah, so before we get into this video, do us a quick favor. Subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on everything that we do here on WHYORU. Also, you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram for all fresh content.
Get ready, get comfortable, because the video starts in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of WHYORU. Hope your day has been well. Trinity, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great, actually. Nothing too spectacular happened this morning or today. But what about you?
Same. I am just so tired.
Yeah.
I could just go for a nap right now.
Yeah, that's why when you texted us about these coffees, I was like, oh, yes, I need it.
Yeah, such a blessing.
Yeah.
And talking about blessings, that came from the one and only Miss Rufaro. How are you doing today?
I'm really good.
I love it. So cute.
Rufaro, welcome to the show. Before we jump into the swing of things, just go ahead, tell us your name, where you're from, your major, just so that the audience can know a little bit more about you.
Okay. My full name is Chantal Rufaro Mukurazhizha.
Y'all heard that accent?
Yes. It
I like
sounds
that
so
tongue roll.
fancy.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
love it.
Say it one more time for us.
Yes.
With the R's too?
Yes.
Okay. Chantal Rufaro Mukurazhizha.
Ah.
We
You
love
got
it.
a rrr. Anyway, I'm from Harare, Zimbabwe. And my major is Convergence Journalism with a minor in political science.
That's cool.
That's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember from a couple episodes back, 2 seasons back now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
2 seasons back, her sister, Charmaine, I can't say the last name, but Charmaine, who is a great friend of ours.
Does everyone say that you sound alike? Y'all sound alike?
Yes. Every
Yeah.
single time.
I remember, I forgot, was it a class or I think you were in one of my classes in the beginning of the school year, and I heard you talk, and I was like, is that Charmaine? And I was like, oh, no, it's your sister.
Every single time. People,
yeah.
if they hear me speaking, they'll look around looking for Charmaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, no, it's not her. Okay.
Oh, no, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, but this is the
Okay.
lovely Charmaine's sister, her younger sister, who is now a freshman. And so we're just going to chat today. As always, here on WHYORU, we're going to talk about her story and why she chose this university. And we're just going to dig a little deeper. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love exposing
So-
myself.
Yes.
Tell us, why did you choose ORU?
Okay, so I initially chose ORU back when I was, I think, in the 8th grade. I always wanted to come here. It was my dream university for, I want to say 3 years. So 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. And then my older sister, Charmaine, the one we talked about, she graduated and she got accepted into ORU. I didn't even know she had applied to come here. And now it was the idea of coming to the same university as my older sister. I was like, no, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I changed my mind and I became set on other universities, like ORU was no longer in the picture. But my dad, when he came to drop Charmaine off here, he says that when he walked onto campus, he felt the presence of God cover him, and he just knew all his children had to come here. And no matter what university I tried to pitch to them, he said no each and every single time. Even though I had, and for me it was painful because I had good enough grades and a good enough SAT score to go into an Ivy League. So in my mind, I was like, why are you making me go to, no offense, ORU, but this university I can get into without trying.
Yeah.
When I could go to a much better place for my future because I want to be a lawyer. So he said, no, Faro, God said you're going to ORU, even though you say academic-wise it's not the best, it's okay. That's where you're going because that's where God wants you to be, even though you don't see it right now.
Yeah.
So through a lot of fighting, I even told him I'm not going to go to college and, you know. And then at the beginning of, where are we? Oh, 2019. He told me, there's a college weekend coming up at ORU, and I booked your plane ticket. You're going. And I was like, so you paid $2,000 for me to fly halfway across the world to see a school I don't even want to go to? And he said, yes, Far, because I want you to see how this school is where you're supposed to go, right? So I got onto the plane. He came with me, and we got here, and I was such a bum the whole college weekend. I was grumpy. Even though there were like little times when you start to kind of like warm up to something your parents said, but like you still want to stay mad because you're prideful.
Yeah.
So
I feel that.
so there were like little things I was looking at. I'd be like, oh well, that's kind of cool, but I didn't want to.
I'm not gonna tell my dad.
Exactly.
Right.
So I kept a straight face the whole
Right.
time. I didn't meet anyone. I didn't make any friends. And then I went back to Zimbabwe. And I kept telling him, I was like, I can't go to that school. Are you not seeing I'm not going to be happy? And he's like, Far, I know you're going to love it. I know maybe college weekend didn't do the job it was supposed to, but you're going to love it. And then I was like, okay, well. And then he paid the down payment for my tuition. I was like, dang it. And now I have to go. And then I came here, and it was, I hate to say it, but he was so right. Like,
Yeah.
I love it here, which is crazy considering even the day I was leaving Zimbabwe to come here, I was really just looking at my mom. I was like, I'll be back in 3 months. I was like, I'm not going to like it, but here I am. That's why I chose, well, not I chose, but why my dad chose ORU for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how did you feel when you first got on campus? And I know you were kind of upset of coming here. You wanted to go to an Ivy League or just a different college in general. So how did you feel when you got on campus and you just let yourself be?
So when I first got onto campus, the only person I knew was my roommate because I'd met her in a line for Chick-fil-A during the college weekend that I had to come to, and her mom had said we should be roommates. So it was one of those.
Oh, so you met somebody.
I met
at least.
somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it was one of those, oh my goodness, I'm here now at a school where everybody knows my older sister, so I'm probably going to be living in her shadow. That's great. And I only going to have one friend. That's awesome too. And then I looked, and then I saw this. It was really funny. I saw this girl. I don't even know where she is now because I don't think I've ever seen her again. And she was just so happy, literally saying hi to everyone. And I was like, what is wrong with her? And then I was like, Farah, but you need to make the most of this time. You know, it was a quick decision. I was like, I refuse, even though I don't want to be here, I refuse to be angry because that's going to not be good for me.
Right, right.
So then I was like, okay, Farah, you're going to do everything you possibly can to make sure, one, nobody only ever views you as Charmaine's little sister, but also you're going to do everything you can to have the best time for the next 4 years, right? Because this is my home for the next 4 years. So even though I was so mad when I came here, I looked at my mom because she was looking at me. She's like, Farah, you're going to love it. Come on, let's go do stuff. I was like, okay. And yeah, I started trying to meet people, really interact, going out a lot, losing sleep, so much sleep. And yeah, so that was my first interaction with ORU when I first got here. Yeah.
That's good.
That's important that you didn't want to live in Charmaine's shadow. Like a lot of people are just cool with that, you know?
Yeah.
I'll just lessen who I am or,
Yeah.
you know, discount who God created me to be just to suck up to my older sister or older brother. And so then by the time Charmaine graduates, everybody's like, well, who is this chick? You know, now when you're trying to do stuff and you're trying to run for student body president or be the president of this club, they're like, who is she? You know, and so that's so important. I'm glad that you found that out early and you didn't have to find that out after the fact.
Yeah.
And also with you saying you being mad that your parents brought you here, that's a little bit of my story. I was so mad. My parents, they literally dropped me off on moving day, you know, and we're 10 hours away, so they didn't have to spend $2,000 on a ticket, but it was easier for them to drop me off, and they did. And so I was mad at them, and anybody that knows me, they know I like to dress nice. They know I like my room nice. I like stuff a certain way. And when I got to the Walmart right across the street, they're like, Joseph, what you want to get for your room? I was like, I don't care. I don't care. Whoa. And so they bought, I was like, just buy gray or something or buy blue, something, I don't know. And literally, so everything in my room was gray. Everything was plain. And
Dark.
they dropped me off dark. They was like, "You want any snacks for your room?" And I was like, "No, go, please. If you're leaving, just leave." Like, I did not want to be here.
Yeah.
But I made up in my mind one day. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make the best of this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's when I started this show and with Trinity and became a student ambassador, started another Bible club. And I was just doing everything. And it was like, for you not to like it, you sure is doing everything. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be cooped up in my room. I talk too much for that.
Exactly.
But, I was still mad within. Like, nobody knew, but I was still mad. And it was countless days. But, I got over it. And now I'm like, thank you, Lord. All right. I don't want to be here some days, but, everything's working out for his good. So that's pretty cool that you said that. We got a little connection there. I see that.
Yeah.
So what would you say the student life is now that you've been here a full semester and this semester is halfway through? We're almost to midterm. So
You're almost a sophomore.
That's crazy. That is crazy. So far, wow, student life. There are times where I forget I'm no longer a high school student. Because I got here, I finished high school when I was 16, so I got here when I was 17. And so technically I was still a baby, I guess. So it was just now having freedom to do certain things that I wasn't always able to do. That was crazy for me. So like my friends would call me at like midnight and say, "Hey, do you want to go and do ABC?" And I'm like, "Oh, my mom says going out after a certain time is not very good." And then I'm like, hold on. There is an ocean between you and your mom. Go and do whatever they tell and also it's strange that the way I view it is living here on campus is one gigantic sleepover. And you wake up in the morning, you have to do some stuff, but at the end of the day, you go back to that sleepover and you can, hang out with whoever you want to talk to. It's just a little bit more drama and, a lot of
drama.
A lot of drama.
Can we
know?
switch gears right there?
I don't want to go with that whole because drama.
Can we just talk about because I don't know what it is with these college students, but they get away from home and they start smelling themselves.
Yeah.
That's what my mama would say. And then they just start up all this drama.
Yeah.
And they think it's cool to start up all this drama. And then they throw the rock and hide their hand like my grandma would say. But baby, I don't want you to throw the rock and hide.
They don't like the confrontation part of the drama. They like stirring up the pot.
You know what?
And all that. But when it comes to if someone's going to confront you about what you're saying, then they just want to run away. And
what I think it is that there's a whole lot of, I'm so sorry for whoever gets offended by this, but there's a lot of students at ORU who were basically babied up until the moment they were dropped off here, right? So a lot of people don't know how to act without their parents around to cover whatever mistakes that they make. And then also they're just a whole lot of spoiled children, and that's on it, period.
And that's, she said, and that's on period.
Yeah.
Because there's
people
too
don't
many
even know how to wash their clothes correctly here.
Exactly. And they got the nerve to be smart.
What? Right.
Like, girl, don't get smart with me. I will slap you in your face. You don't even know how to wash your clothes.
Exactly. And then they get, it's like they're so comfortable, like you said, they're so comfortable starting so many problems. But then when it comes time to solve those problems, then they're like, ew.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, sorry, honey, but you started. Come on, finish it. Finish it.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of drama that I honestly don't have the time for.
Because that's why we're here. We're here to get an education for the real world outside of that. We're here because we paid like a crazy amount of money.
We're paying a lot of money.
Right. So to start drama that you could have kept in high school, leave me out of that.
You see, so there's a lot of freshmen especially who are basically still high school students just on a bigger campus.
Yes.
Is what it is. So sometimes when I see people, I'm like, I don't have the time.
And then people think just because we at a Christian university that stuff like this don't happen.
Oh,
right.
Welcome to ORU.
Right.
Come to ORU.
We have the Christian label, and yes, that's very good. We are more Christian than a lot of universities, but with all the same problems.
Yeah.
Because I think it was Pastor Mike Todd who said this. I can't remember exactly, but it's one of those, you left home with a problem thinking that you're coming onto campus to save yourself from that problem, but you don't realize that you're traveling with the problem because you are the problem. You are the problem. Sorry.
Come on, preach.
So I just, there's a lot of...
I actually almost got in a fight freshman year.
Joseph?
Did I ever tell you about this?
No, you did not. Please tell us the
this
story.
This dude tried to fight me over a female.
Really?
A female I didn't even want.
Oh.
What?
A female. I had my eye on another female.
He says a
Right.
female.
Oh,
I love
he
that.
got options.
I'm not, I mean, I can go down the list now. No, I'm not gonna do that right now. Not right on the show. But yeah, he tried to talk about me, and he went about me to another female who he didn't know we were close. Like he didn't know we were close. So she came and told me.
No.
But not only did she tell me, she brought me to him. Like she wasn't the one like I'm gonna just talk behind the back.
Right.
And just leave it.
Right.
No, she brought me to him, and then was like, "Yeah, so tell my brother what you said." And he was like, "Nah, I didn't say that. I didn't say nothing like this."
It's like
The
such a
problem
deal.
that happened, the initial part that just got me was that he went and ran his mouth to another female.
Exactly.
If you are a man, you should be going to the source of whatever issue that you're
Exactly.
going to.
And that's what made me mad. And he tried. I can't say the names that he called me on this show,
Oh.
but he called me some names, and she said it, and he was like, "No, I didn't say that."
Wow.
And she was like, "Well, tell him what you said." And he said, "Well, what I said was you were acting like those names because, we be trying to talk to the girls, and you never want to hang out with us, and you always want to hang with the girls, and every girl that we try to talk to when we have a problem, you go run into them and try to talk to them on some Christian holy stuff." I said, first of all, dude, they come to me because they see the light of Jesus on the inside of me, and they come for me
Amen.
Yeah.
for help because you're too immature to help them, and you got problems, and we've only been here 4 weeks. I was like,
That
dude,
part.
if you're not about my father's business, then just be out of my life. I was like, I
Right.
came here for education.
Come
Really,
on
I didn't
now.
even come here for education. I got dropped off here for education. So at least the least I'm gonna do is get it and not argue with you.
Exactly.
But enough about the drama. Trinity, let's keep moving.
Okay, so are you in any clubs here at ORU? Oh, Lord.
What that laugh was about.
Okay, so what happened was when I got here, I think I got overwhelmed with all the new clubs that I joined almost
Everything.
Yes.
That's the problem.
I was going to club meetings every day. And I went from going to a club meeting every day to now not being a part of a single club. I'm not.
Wow.
It's just crazy because
Science
I
and
got
arts?
here
Yes.
last
Media?
semester.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, there's a lot of them. Some of them I don't even remember the names. And
You just signed up for everything.
yeah, it's like I signed up for that one where you pay $5 and you get a basketball jersey.
Oh,
I forgot that one, what
yeah.
it's called.
I know what you're
I
talking
signed up for, I think
$5?
it's
Okay.
called
about. All right.
the Israel
You get
one.
a jersey too?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh my gosh, that works. And,
Right.
and then I really thought that I would be a good addition to each club that I joined. And I
You
probably would have been.
yeah.
I
but
probably would have been, but
you just put a little too much
I
on your
got
plate.
overwhelmed with all the work of it. I remember there
Yeah.
was one day where I had 3 club meetings. I had work. I had homework. I'm like, I can't do this.
How many hours are you taking?
Right now, I'm taking 16.
How many were you taking first semester?
So at first, I was signed up for 18 hours.
Yeah,
And then I had all the
Ooh.
clubs that I signed up for. And then I had to drop some classes because it was too much. And then dropped the clubs.
Yeah,
Then
I'm
I had
gonna
to
come
go to
back.
work and say, hey, I know I just started, but like I need you to cut down my hours. I'm sorry.
So I got a question about that. So you went to work and you told them to cut down your hours. How in the world did you become a supervisor and now you're working at all the different little...
So, God's grace is amazing. When I got onto campus, the one thing I was so adamant about was, Rufaro, you need to get a job, like before anything happens. And I don't know how it happened, but I got the guy who runs basically all the little restaurants here. I got his number, and I can't remember where I got it from, but I remember I was calling him, and he kept saying, "Oh, call me later, call me later." I kept calling. I was like, "I will call you later," and he's like, "Okay, you know what? I have like 10 minutes free at this certain time. Come and meet me." So I went and I met him, and he was like, "Okay, you need A, B, C, D," and I went and I got all that stuff, and I had it for him as soon as I could possibly get it to him. And he was like, oh, you have it? And I was like, and he was like, oh, okay, can you start tonight? I was like, bet. So
Yeah.
I made sure that I was always available whenever he needed me to be available, right? And then over time, I guess he just really started to trust me more, which is really great. And
Wait,
then it
but
just
over time, you've only been here not even 10 months, like 6.
I know, but then it's one of those, like I said, God's grace. Because like Harvard Java, I mean, I don't have that much authority there, but like I love working there the most, you know? And it was nice. I remember like I think it was my 3rd week working with them. He hands me the stack of papers. He was like, "Do you know how to audit something?" And I looked at him, I was like, "Yes." Even though I was like in my head, no. But I was gonna learn.
Exactly.
Ain't that right?
Know all that.
And don't you know?
I was gonna learn. And then he was like, "Oh, okay, great, here you go." And he hands me the stack of papers, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, I don't know what this stuff is, but you know, make sure you look like you know what you're doing.
Your
keep the
parents will
job.
tell you that all the time.
You know,
Make it look like you know what you're doing.
Right.
exactly.
Don't just be talking about no. You miss out on blessings.
Exactly. You know, so then
Yeah.
when he asked me, "Hey, do you know how to make A, B, C, D? Because I need you to work at Chick-fil-A." I was like, "Oh, well, yeah. Chick-fil-A all the time." That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, I know what it's supposed to taste
You
like.
know how to say my pleasure.
So surely when I go there, if it doesn't taste the way it's been tasting all this time, I've done something wrong and I'll figure it out. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, I can work there. So that's how I handled that.
And so then what about Moe's? How did you get to Moe's?
Moe's was actually the first place I ever worked at.
Okay.
Yeah. So Moe's was a hectic learning experience, but I knew I was like, okay, Faro, you have one shot at this. You need to make it look like you're really good. Harvard Java, I kept telling the customers, hey, if I made your drink wrong, just like slide it back and then I'll make it again. You know? And then over time I actually started knowing what I was doing. But it was like I was taking more time because I started late, so I didn't go through the same training as everybody else. Mine was like a speed process, but then I just made it look like I really knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So having all those credit hours and having 3 jobs basically, how did you find that time to make time for God?
So before I came to ORU, I mean I grew up a Christian, right? But then I went through a year where it was like the darkest time of my life, I would say, yet, because I went from being so on fire for God and really just only wanting things to do with God to just really being like, yo, I'm sorry, but I can't with you anymore, you know? And then it was also the idea of me coming to ORU. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Now I have to go to this place where they pray in class too? Like, that's what I was thinking. I really thought that, like, my classes would be like, and in business, you need to amen at the end of every meeting so that you know God is really present. Like, I thought that's what they're going to be teaching me. And so then I came here and I was like, you need your relationship with God to get better. I don't know how, because it was now, you know, when you hit rock bottom, there's no other place to go but up. Otherwise, you're just going to be walking parallel to all the same problems you've been having, the same.
Come on, you better preach.
You know? So I was like, okay, Faro, your life has never been this bad before. I got onto campus. There was a day where I was crying in the parking lot, the one by the Maybe Center, all by myself. It was burning hot. Oh my God, the sun is out and it's burning me. My bags had stayed behind in Dubai, so I didn't have any clothes with me. I had a t-shirt from Walmart and tights. That's all I had. And then I had the ORU t-shirt they gave you in the way, and so I was interchanging those 2 t-shirts for like a week. And I was like, God, no one even thinks I'm pretty too. So like, are you kidding me right now? And then I was like, I think I'm there, God. I think I'm there at the point where I now need you. Fix this. And then I was like, and then I told him, I was like, I know that I probably said this many times, but now I'm serious. I need to be more intentional about my relationship with you. And I was like, but then I don't want it to just be a thing that when I'm on campus, I'm this holy girl and I'm praying all the time. But I want it to be a thing of even when I get off campus, I'm still keeping the same energy that I have when I'm at ORU. So then I started trying to be more intentional, doing things that I know that I wouldn't want to do, but then they're going to benefit my relationship with God. For example, the worship nights were never compulsory, but I would tell myself, Faro, you know you don't want to go, but guess what? You're going to go. And even if you're sitting in the back, you're going to listen to Christian music
Yeah.
for the next couple of hours, and you're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So, you know, little things like that. I mean, chapel is compulsory, but I was like, okay, at least you have that if you don't want to go to church on a Sunday. I told myself I have to start going to church on a Sunday. Don't ever tell yourself otherwise. What else did I start doing? I started trying to have more God-centered conversations with people, because it's very easy. Honestly, I talk a lot. So it's very easy for me to talk about anything and everything. And there are many times where I slip out of a righteous conversation, a conversation that would edify God. And it's very easy for me to start talking, and not only talking, but boasting about ungodly things that I do or have done, you know. So I started telling myself that when you start seeing yourself slip into a certain type of conversation, don't allow yourself to get there. Even if it means that you're in the middle of your sentence, you're going to have to stop Rufaro and pull yourself back to,
That's good stuff.
you know. So I started trying to be more intentional. Am I at the place I want to be yet? No.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
Right.
Because there are still times. Like I went home to Zimbabwe in December, and it was one of those, I know you're not at school, but come on, you can't do certain things. Come on, you know. And I was fighting with myself constantly, but there's certain things that, you know, my friends, they would ask me, hey, Far, let's do this. And I'll be like, hey guys, I know I'm being the bum of the squad, but like I can't. I really can't.
Yeah,
and it's
good.
glad that you have
You
those
know.
friends to push you out your comfort zone and to push you to have those conversations
know.
and just motivate you to do something.
Yeah.
That's
Did I
great.
have a couple of slipping moments? Yes.
Yeah.
But then there are some friends who are like, Farah, you were so much fun. What happened to you? It's that Christian school. And they were trying to make a joke. And I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And they're like, oh. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a
You
joke.
know?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, I can make you guys happy now, and we play together now, and then we'll enjoy dancing together in hell when we're burning, isn't? When
Yeah.
the fire is getting a little
Oh,
bit
come
hotter
on now.
because Satan is like rising it. Or I can say no to you guys now and really just try and secure my place, because I'm sorry, but like hell doesn't sound like a great place.
It doesn't.
It just really doesn't sound like the best
Right,
destination.
I don't want to sweat.
Like
I don't want to do
sweating
that.
and like
Yeah.
my makeup.
Right.
It's just like not the best thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Rufaro, if you don't mind, take us down that dark path in your life. What did that look like for you?
So, when did it start? I want to say that in I keep forgetting what year we're in. 2018, right? I think I was so on fire for God. If I can explain to you, I would be waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning and praying for like 2 hours straight, you know? It was me and God all the way. At school, I always had my Bible there, reading scriptures. I would spit out whatever scripture is relevant to a topic. And that's because I had grown up that Christian girl or whatever. But then 2018 is the year that I moved to South Africa. And South Africa is very different to Zimbabwe. South Africa is a lot more, I want to say, worldly than Zimbabwe is. Zimbabwe is this gigantic bubble, honestly, where everyone you meet is basically a Christian. You can talk to them about God. It's not really a true world experience. And then when I went to South Africa, I started interacting with different religions and all that stuff. And I mean, the first year I was there, yeah, it was a good year, and I really tried my hardest to stay in my faith. But I think after some time, certain things got to me, and it was not problematic because I got into positions of leadership where it wasn't a Christian school that I was at, but then they had me head of the only Christian group on campus. So now I had that responsibility to lead people. But then I'm leading people, trying to get them to grow in their faith, but mine was slipping, right? And so I started getting into a whole lot of weird things. First, it was just dark thoughts. At first, it was only just dark thoughts, and I was like, okay, you need to pray that away. You'll do that later. And I kept pushing a lot of things to do later.
Yeah.
Like God would tell me, hey, don't do that. And I'll be like, no, God, it's okay. Trust me, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
God to trust me. Like, okay. So I would say, hey, God, trust me. And so I found myself in situations where at first it was like, how can I, just weird. I never was one who enjoyed gossiping. Like it actually started, I would say it started with the gossiping, right? And then I started talking about people. Very soon I was doing the things that I used to be talking about people doing, you know?
Yeah.
And then a lot of girls were into a whole lot of terrible things. I would never say I became like, for example, one thing that was really big in South Africa was alcohol, right? Everybody was on a drinking tip. They would like be mixing their drinks in their bottles, like, hey, look what I can do. Like, I can light this on fire. It's like, oh, that's so cool, right? And so at first it was like, okay, I'm not partaking, but then let me just see how you do it. You know, at first it was my curiosity. Then it was like, okay, let me try, you know? And then very soon it was like, yo, Faro, can you make me? And I was like, girl, I got you, and then all that stuff. very quickly, it turned from Rufaro is just in the corner analyzing to Rufaro is in the center of the circle, basically initiating a lot of these activities. And I actually lost my Bible, and I didn't even realize until like 2 months later. I was like, oh my gosh, that thing is missing. I wonder what that said, you know? And then it's like, even when I would go to like the Christian group meetings, I'm like, hey guys, don't sin, love God. Yeah, okay, bye. You know, and it was no longer me trying to disciple people.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that if God puts you in a position to lead his people, especially to get closer to him, and then you decide that you're going to live your own life, there's a lot of bad things that are going to happen, you know? And then so that happened. So now I'm now in this worldly mindset where a lot of things that I used to think were not okay, I was now thinking they're okay. You know, I started entertaining the ideas of guys and stuff, and I was like, and it was like a little by little, I was allowing more and more things to happen. Then I'll be like, oh, but okay, fine if he touches your hand, man, just like allow it, you know. And then I've ended high school and I was back in Zimbabwe, and it was like, now I have all this stuff that I'm now into, and now my friends back home are kind of into them too, so hey, it just works. So started going out a lot. I got my license so I could drive myself around to go to wherever I needed to go. And then God really just became the least important thing to me. I was more focused on keeping up with everything my friends were doing instead of keeping up with what God had in mind for me. Because I mean, God had told me, he was like, Faro, I want you to, this is the plan I have for your life. God told me at the age of, I want to say 15, he was like, Faro, this is what I need you to do, and this is why I need you to go here and here and here and here and do A, B, C, D. Like, he told me why he needed me to go to South Africa. He told me why he needed me to go to ORU. I knew this, but I started to really just say, hey, man, I know you said that, but I don't care anymore. Right. You know? So I got into a whole lot. For example, about 3 months before I came here, I got into this relationship with this guy, and I made myself fall in love with that boy. I was in love with him, right? And I got to the point where I was about to tell my parents, guys, I actually can't go to college because I'm in love. And then I wonder what my African parents would have done to me. The belt would have come up so fast. And so I was now, and then I was like, oh my gosh, at ORU, they're not going to let me do a whole lot of this stuff. Not only that, but even in America, even if ORU did allow, I'm no longer legal age to do anything that I want to do, because in Zimbabwe it's different. So then I was like, okay, well, this is not going to go well. Got onto campus, and then very quickly I started seeing a lot of people were just not down for a lot of the things that I would have tried to. And I would try and sneak it into conversations, hey? I'd be like, hey, what about... And then they'd be like, oh, no, I don't really do. I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, me too. Yeah, great. But then, like I said, I made that decision to be more intentional with my relationship with God. So then I was like, Faro, there's a whole lot of darkness inside of you. And I'm not even going to lie and say that I wasn't proud of anything. I was very proud of all the things that I knew how to do, all the things that I could do, all the things that I did do. I was very, very proud of it. And then I got here, and then all of a sudden, you know, you get this uncomfortable feeling now. It's like, okay, that was not there before. Okay, now I'm uncomfortable. Wait, no, I like doing that. Let's not, you know. And then I started wanting to, at first I wanted to hide now. And then I was like, wait, no, but Faro, someone said it was in chapel, and I couldn't raise my hands to worship. And that's when I was like, oh no. You know, because it was like, I used to be able to raise my hands and worship God whenever I wanted to. But now it was almost, it's weird. It was like a light switch where it's like every time I would raise my hands, I would get a flood of all these terrible things that I've done, and then I'll put my hands down. And it was almost like there's a voice in my head saying, yeah, don't you try change. Don't you do, what are you doing? Right? And then I was like, whoa, this is bad. And
You got
then
me thinking, and then, am I like that?
so I was like, okay, Faro, you've done all. I told God, this was my actual prayer. I was like, hey, God, so I like certain things that I'm not supposed to like, and I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not proud of it. That's exactly what I was telling God this. I was like, God, I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not proud of some of this stuff. I don't even regret doing any of these things, but I know I need to change, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, so you know you need to change, but you still want to do this stuff. Now what do we do? So I started making sure that the people that I'm hanging around with, they're going to bring light into my life and not darkness. Because honestly, if I wanted the friends that were I had both of them at the beginning of the semester. I had my light friends, and then I had my darkness friends. So sorry to you if you think you're part of the darkness friends squad, but you were there. And I knew that they knew where all the parties were at. They were going to be able to get me A, B, C, D places, right? Then I had the other friends who, they were like my roommate would be like, yo, Far, let's pray about A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to pray with you. That's so weird. Yeah. Like, but she would be like, hey, let's pray about this. Hey, let's go to worship night. Hey, are you coming to chapel? Hey, where are you? And I was like, okay. then I was like, but my darkness friends are right there smiling at me. Let me go. Yeah. Then I was like, okay, but Far, you made a decision. You're a big girl now. Your parents aren't there to force you to go to church anymore. Your parents aren't there to make sure you're not doing certain things anymore. You need to make these decisions for yourself. So then that's when I started trying to really try and force myself I really had to force myself. Going back home in December was a true test of my character, because it was one of those, I don't know, December in Zimbabwe is almost a whole big party for a month, basically. So it was like every single day there was something. Faro do this, Faro do this, Faro do this. And then I was like, every day I would be like, hey guys, actually on New Year's was the day I was like, Faro, come to this party. I was like, I'm going to church. And they were like, huh? I was like, I am going to church. In my head, I'm like, I don't want to go to church. But I was like, I am going to church. Because my mom gave me the car. She'd never done that before. It was like almost like God saying, let's see what you're going to do. Yeah. So she gave me the car keys, and she was like, please don't come back home too late. But she was like, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I was like, 3 a.m., the parties will be over. Okay. Then I was like, Faro, where do you need to be right now? You said you don't want to be that girl who's only a Christian on campus. So then when I was driving to church, I had high Christian music playing, because I was like, God, you need to get me there.
You can turn that car around and go to the parties.
I can turn that car around. But then I was like, you don't want to be that person anymore, you know?
Yeah.
You know, especially because now I'm looking for a husband, and like, I don't want to be that girl who marries those bums, you know? Yeah. Like, I don't want to meet my husband in a club. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Like, if our story is the song was playing and you were going, come on, mama, and then I'll be like, yo, bruh, yo.
Yeah.
You know, nah, we don't want that to be our meeting story.
So just a couple more questions before we get out of here. So just really quickly, you actually answered this question in the conversation we just had, the question you just asked, and the one before that. But what are some steps that you've taken or you've implemented to help you live a balanced life, where that is, I'm not going to be too much in the world, but I'm also going to be a Christian? What does those steps look like? That? Because like I just said, you've talked about it, and you mentioned some of the things that you're doing, like listening to the loud Christian music and forcing yourself to go to chapel. But what are some other steps that you've actually did that could help somebody else?
Okay. One thing that I hate doing it, but I know I have to. Before, I never used to tell people my business. It's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it by myself, and I will tell you after. Yeah. Not before, because I know then someone might say something that's going to make me think otherwise. But I would never tell people my business. Now I have a system of making sure I have people I tell about all the decisions I'm about to make before I make them. Not because I can't make decisions by myself. I think that's been a misconception that people have had of me. I know how to make decisions by myself, but it's not always that my decisions are the right decision, you know? So I have started to tell people about my decisions. For example, I always tell my sister that I'm about to do something. And if I know that I can't tell her, I know I shouldn't be doing it. It's almost automatic. It's like, okay, I need to tell her.
Yeah.
What is she going
to say about this?
What is she going to say?
Yeah.
What is she going to say? Let me expose myself. Why not? I am very good at talking to guys. Very good. Almost too good at talking to guys. And it gets me into a lot of situations where I get into unwanted relationships. And before I used to entertain a lot of those. And since coming here, I told myself, I was like, Far, you can't keep playing with people's sons. Shame. This is someone's husband. Like, you don't want to be the girl who messed him up, right? Yeah. So then I always run it by someone, whether it's Fisayo, whether it's Charmaine, whether it's even Elijah. I will tell somebody so that they know. Not because I just need someone to keep me accountable all the time. That accountability thing for me, it's now a very, very big thing. And that's because before, when I had nobody keeping me accountable, I made so many mistakes that I really could have avoided if I had just told somebody that I'm about to do something. And so I was like, okay, Farah, you need to really start telling people your business. People think that I just talk way too much, but I need to right now. I will get better in terms of like who I share my information to. But then right now, I need to tell somebody because I'm not at the place where I am strong enough yet to make my own decision and really know that I'm making the right decision, you know? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's one thing that I do. I always tell someone.
That's good. That's good. So kind of getting off that subject, but talking about your life slogan.
Okay.
Your attitude
determines
Thank you.
There you go.
So, and you said your mother told.
Repeat that. What is it?
Your attitude determines your altitude.
Mm-hmm. And you said your mother told you that all the time, growing up.
Yes.
So why did you think she kept on telling you that, and how do you implement that now in your life right now in your season?
So my name, Rufaro, it means happiness, right? Mm-hmm. And my mom used to always really try and tell me, "For you're such a happy child." But I was a happy child who got angry very easily. It was almost as if it's like 1 minute I'm smiling, then you do something and I'm I'm gone. It's like, whoa, is this the same person? Then she used to always tell me, "Mwanangu," which means my child. Then she'd be like, "Your attitude determines your altitude. Don't do that. Because this person that you're blowing off at, you don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know how you're going to need them in the future. Don't do that, you know?" And now I carry that almost everywhere with me. There are people who annoy me. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
But I refuse to allow that to get in the way of my happiness now. Because I've noticed, maybe because it's my character, I'm a very happy person, very easy to talk to. So there are many times where people think that it's okay to do certain things to me that are not okay. It's not okay to do. And so I've really always told myself that, Faro, no matter what happens, you can't ever allow someone to steal your joy, you know? Because I've had times where I was so... I don't want to say I was depressed because it was never diagnosed, but I felt depressed. You know, I was so sad there. I felt like I had absolutely no reason to smile. Nobody loved me. I was fighting with everyone. I was the one causing all the fights in the house. It was my fault all the time. My friends had, there was strife in my friendships, and that's because I would have started a lot of those. And that's because my attitude got in the way of a lot of my relationships that I had in this life. So then I said, but mommy always says, your attitude determines your altitude. What does that mean? And then I really took the time to think about it. And then I was like, okay, every time you respond with a good attitude, what happens? Good things. So don't you think that maybe it means if you respond with a bad attitude, bad things happen? So then I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's start using that to really just everyone you meet, always, if you can't stick a smile on your face, at least keep quiet.
Yeah.
At least keep quiet, because if you're going to say something and it's going to be like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your mother ever tell you that in y'all first language or English? Or she just always said it in English?
So the attitude determines your altitude. She would always say that in English, but the what's it called? You'd rather keep quiet thing. There is a Shauna saying for that. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. kana usina zvekutaura ridza muridzo, which is basically if you have nothing to say, whistle, literally whistle, because you'd rather just be like, rather than you say something and then what then happens, you know.
Yeah.
My dad always said that. He would be like, kana usina zvekutaura ridza muridzo mwanangu, and I'll be like, okay, fine. That's always when I was about to say something to one of my sisters.
Wow. Wow. Last question for you, and we're going to get out of here. What advice would you give to someone that's listening that's going to hear your story today? Maybe they're depressed. Maybe they're thinking about coming to ORU. Or maybe they just need some encouragement. What advice would you give them today?
Okay. This is actually a good question because, you know, my mom is always trying to get me to convince my little sister that this is not that bad of a place. So, advice I would have for them is that ORU, honestly, depending on how you've grown up, it could either look like the best school ever or the worst school for you, possibly. And if you're in the boat where it looks like the worst school ever, I don't think that's possible. You know, ORU, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. And you will have moments where you are literally like, God, why am I here? You know? But if you're not coming here for your education, right? Come here for the life experience. Yeah. My best friend on campus, I don't know if you know him, Jaleel. He always says that he didn't come here for the education, he came here for the life experience. Because if ORU is not going to give you a good education, it's going to give you a good life experience, and that's for sure. Because it mixes in a Christian perspective of what life really is like. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like that. They're like, oh no, it's creating a bubble mindset for me that, oh, everyone I meet is always going to be Christian. Except no, they ain't. I don't know who you're talking to on campus if everyone you talk to is this God-fearing, holy person, because I talk to a lot of people on campus who I'm like, well, you're an interesting Christian, you know? So if you're not coming to ORU for the education, you're coming for the life experience. And if you're not coming for the life experience, well, the education is pretty good too. I mean, it's not bad. You honestly are not going to be hearing that, okay, this is the third law of thermodynamics, and this is what God says. That's not what's happening, okay? That's like, people think that everything is like God every 2 seconds. It's really not. It's really not. We're actually being taught proper education things here. You're not going to be taught that math, that this is what 2 + 2 is, but guess what? If you add 1 + 1 + 1, it still equals 1 because Holy Trinity, amen. That's not what it is. Come on, guys. You know, you get your proper education. So wouldn't you rather leave a school with a proper life experience and a good education than rather leave with a good education, but guess what? Now your life sucks. So that's my
wow. You know what? I think we should end this show with a prayer.
We should.
Yeah, you're so amazing. I'm glad we had this conversation. We really haven't chatted that much on campus, but you're amazing. Would you like to pray for us as we close? And honestly, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but could you also pray in your native language? Like, I really would love that right now. It don't have to be a long prayer, but I just would love that.
It's not going to be a long prayer because we have this saying back home that basically you're not good at speaking Shona until you can pray in Shona. So it's going to be very short because praying is interesting.
Well, you can do a little bit of both. You could do a little bit of both.
I'll pray in Shona. It'll be short. It'll be cute. And I'll pray good things only, guys. I promise. You know. Oh, goodness. All right.
Amen.
And you'll not know either way if I'm saying bad things or not. So okay, yeah, I can pray.
Yeah.
Ready? Okay. Mwari Baba, patauya panapa nhasi ndikumbirawo kuti uye mugare mumwoyo dzedu tese. Ndikumbirawo kuti mutifadze nhasi. Patinoenda kumba ndikumbirawo kuti mufambe nesu. Satani ndikumbirawo kuti musatibate nhasi. Lord Jesus Christ, tokurumbidzai. Mwari Baba, amen. Amen. I said praise God so many times in that prayer, but anyway, it's okay.
Hey,
praise the Lord. That's it.
Yeah,
praise the Lord.
Lifting His name.
Right.
Well, I forgot to say this at the beginning. Happy Valentine's to you, ladies.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's Day to all of you that are listening out there. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of WHYORU. Don't forget Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, KORU_YORU, as well as our YouTube channel. It's your boy, Joseph Thomas.
And it's your girl, Trinity Caesar.
We out. Peace. Love y'all.
Peace.